there was a critter decided to make his home up here. So we're gonna have to look for some wires to make sure they're not chewed up. But there's acorns everywhere. So pretty sure it was a squirrel. And go figure, right? Been a little bit of a slow week here at the shop. Where do I start this one with? In a minute I'm about to give you guys an update on the trailer. The trailer's done and ready to go. And I just went ahead and finished welding the fenders on and things to that extent. Because I guess I just wanted to get some stuff done, and I didn't really want to get too far into this, and I'm not going to get too far into this, but shortly after I filmed the video last week, there's a little part of there where I'm talking about my dog being sick. Well, she was really sick, and she actually wound up having cancer, and now the shop in the house that always had 2 dogs running around has no dogs running around, and so I lost my pup. And it's weird. It's quiet. It's weird. They're not under our feet, and it's been a rough week. It's been a rough week. So I kind of came out here and distracted myself, and you know, not to put a downer on everything for you guys. We're gonna pick it back up, and we're gonna be good to go. But kind of went out here, and I just got busy, and I kept busy, and I welded on the fenders, and they're not amazing welds by any way, shape, or form, but it does hold the fender on, and I don't think it's going to crack. So there's that. Got them all painted up with some of the epoxy coating, and it looks really, really good. We painted them yesterday. So the trailer's done, which means that we can get ready to take the Dakota to the track, which I might try in February, beginning of March, I think. Anyway, so we're going to try to get this thing to the track as soon as possible. But I did want to give you guys an update on the fenders and stuff to that extent. So I'm glad they're done. I'm glad it doesn't look as terrible as it used to, because it was pretty bad. Those old fenders were toast. So anyways, fender, that's all done. Once we get more time and getting ready to go, I'll show you, how the D-rings work. I'm hoping that they're going to work just fine, and yeah, we'll go from there. So what we're going to do from here on out is we're going to work on the Nova. We're going to get the brakes tore down, at least the master cylinder, maybe the brake booster as well. We're going to tear this stuff out of here, kind of start diagnosing things, although we kind of already know that this master cylinder is leaking into the brake booster. So that's what's wrong. If you guys recall, a little while ago, we had put new mufflers on the car. It sounds great. I've driven it once, because when we went on to test drive, it sounded great, but the brakes were spongy AF, and well, we found out we have a hydraulic issue. So this stuff's got to come out. So I do want to pull it out and look at it. I'm pretty certain we're going to have to replace the brake booster, but because this car is so original other than the powertrain, I'd like to try to use the stuff that it came with. But my gut feeling is that thing's full of brake fluid, which means corrosion. So we're probably going to have to get that replaced. So, all right, let me get things set up, and we'll start tearing this thing apart and show you that process. So last night I went ahead and moved the trailer out of the shop because it's large and in the way. And while we had the trailer outside of the shop, the Sonoma was parked outside for about a week and a half or so, something like that. And once it started up, and it wasn't running that great, and I wasn't sure why. And then we realized there was a critter decided to make his home up here. So we're gonna have to look for some wires to make sure they're not chewed up. But there's acorns everywhere. So I'm pretty sure it was a squirrel. And go figure, right? Living in a pretty wooded area. So definitely noted to not let the Sonoma sit outside for very long, or any of these guys for that matter. So thought that was pretty funny when we found it last night. But all right, well, now I think it's time to go ahead and let's try to get this master cylinder and everything off today, to kind of look at it, because I still have to order parts, and I don't know how many parts I have to order. So unfortunately, this is one of those things where we're gonna take it apart first, then make a plan from there. May have told you guys before, but in case you didn't hear me the first time, I hate line wrenches. And I think it's because of the quality of wrenches that are made nowadays. So I'm saying that to just give you guys a heads up that I will not be using line wrenches, in case you see it. And the reason as to why, because my Craftsman wrenches are 20-something years old, and they don't have flex here. So I find these to be much more reliable than a set of lines, set of wrenches, like a set of line wrenches that do have flex. Here we go. And luckily I replaced these when I put my line lock on, so they're going to come out pretty easily. Putting this towel down to make sure that I protect things from underneath it from the nasty brake fluid that will leak everywhere. There's one of those guys. I don't even know if there's any fluid in this thing. And there's some in the back. So those were 9/16. This is also 9/16. If you're working on a 60s car from America and you're using metric tools on anything but a swapped engine, you're doing it wrong. Oh boy, I just dropped that. Oh well, I just did that wrong. Dang. That was on there. And there we go, simple as that. Hopefully. Get this guy off of here. There. More? No. Just brackets and stuff are in the way. There we go. Oh yeah. So you see all that juice down in there? That's definitely our issue, because that's where the brake fluid is going. And it's also why there's corrosion down here underneath it. So we need to take this off and see if there's any fluid like resting in the pump itself, which I assume there is. And if there is, then it's got to be replaced, because it's not going to be any good anymore. But we got to go inside the car now to do some work and drop my wrench on the ground to pull the pedal off. And then once we pull the pedal off, there's a couple bolts we got to do and pull this guy out. So I'll show you all that. After looking at this, I'm realizing this is not going to be a whole lot of fun. Hood, right corner of the hood, fender here. So down way in there, if you guys can see it even, are 4 nuts and on studs that hold the brake booster in. Really hard to see. There's no way I'm going to be able to get the camera in there to really show you guys. But they're here. You can kind of see one right here. If you look at my index finger. Thing is, the light moves every time I do that. But right there. Hopefully y'all can see that. So I gotta get those guys out. There's also a clip on the brake pedal that it hooks up to the brake booster, because that's, you know, your lever. And it's underneath the dash. It's actually not very hard to take off, but I can't get the camera up under there to show you all that real well. So let me just work on taking this thing out, and then I'll show you guys all that once it's out. Sound fair? So that was not a lot of fun. It took me about 25 minutes and basically because of one bolt. And I'll show you guys that here in a minute. Let me see if I can manipulate these lines now out of the way. Come on now. Come on now. There we go. All right. Man, that's what my firewall looks like. Looks pretty good. I'm very blessed that this car is not rusty, but this guy right here, you can only really get to with a combination wrench. The other guys I was able to get to with a 1/4 inch drive and a 9/16 socket for the most part. I did have to break this one loose with the wrench first and back it off some to get to it. But this guy's a little tough. There's not a lot of room in here with everything in the way. So it took a little bit of time. But now let's grab a bucket and see what we're working with here. All right, so here's what I want to find out, is if there's any brake fluid in there, and it doesn't look like there is, which that's great. But do I want to replace it now that it's off anyway? Maybe, because it's unattractive, but it is original to the car. But let me try that again, just see what we can do if we tip it over. All right, how are we doing here? Anything? Smells like brake fluid. I can tell you all that much. I can't see anything. I don't know what I'm trying to accomplish here. But anyway, it's off. I'm probably going to replace it, and I need to order some other things anyway, just to renew it a bit. I know it's kind of all original, so do I clean it all up and not buy all that stuff? I don't know. I do know that this is the wrong master cylinder. This is actually for like a 68, 69 Camaro, and the chambers are flipped. So I had to do some rewiring or rerouting of the brake lines and stuff like that. So it might be time to fix all that while I got it out. But that's good. Well, I mean, at least it's taken apart now, so we can kind of start making a plan from here. And yeah, I can figure out which parts to buy and get that stuff on the way so we can get back to driving this car, because it's been quite a while since I've driven it myself, so I miss driving it for sure. All right, what's next? There's something else. I remember what it was. We're gonna rewind. I'm gonna show you guys how the pin and everything works on the brake booster, where it connects to the master cylinder. I think this works for just the master cylinder itself as well, but let me show you all that real quick. All right. Well, this is our brake booster again, right? We're aware of that, huh? This goes inside the car. This is your adjustable rod for your master cylinder or brake booster itself. And basically, the brake pedal is just a, piece of metal that goes in between these two things. This comes from the inside by the steering column, goes through the brake pedal to the other side, and then this little clip right here is a spring-loaded clip. And if I'll show you how it kind of works, it just goes on to where, maybe I'll show y'all how it works. I didn't have that on all the way. There it goes. All right, it's just a spring-loaded clip that there's a channel in this pin right here that it slides on and over, and then this keeps it from backing out. I don't know if y'all can see that. There's a better view. But as long as you pull back on this, which usually takes a screwdriver or something, not a whole lot of pressure, but it just comes out, and there's the slot in the pin right there. And again, we'll show you how it goes. It presses down and then on the slot like that. Not a big deal. I'm gonna put it back in here so I don't lose it. All right, some of you guys are very observational, and you can look at things in the shop and know kind of what we're working on next. Sometimes it's very, very subtle. Sometimes it's a cooling fan sitting on the ground underneath the Typhoon with some boxes on top of it. You might know what we're up to, but we're actually going to work on the Typhoon because we want to take this thing to Radwood if we can. So Greg has bought a bunch of parts for his truck, and we just got a lot to do. We got a lot to do. We have a main concern, and well, the claddings are not on the fenders because they had broken, but we've got them back, got them fixed. But we have some, as Vice Grip Garage calls it, lightning, or weight reduction, I believe is what he says, in this fender. And well, we're going to address that last. We have a whole bunch of parts for this truck. We've had issues with the AC and stuff before, so we got all new AC parts on it. So we've got to kind of finish that up. We've got to replace the evap core, but we've got some ignition parts for it. We've got a couple moderate performance parts for it, and I say that because it's all stock, and we don't really plan to do much else than stock with this, because you kind of touch Typhoons and they're persnickety, and then they don't like to work anymore, or at least not well anymore. So we've actually got a chip for this thing that's going to clean up the idle, the air fuel and stuff like that. We're going to change it to a wideband sensor, which is a wideband oxygen sensor, so that the chip that we're putting in the PCM can make adjustments much faster than it used to. We actually have a E85 tune for it as well, but that's something later on down the line. But basically, we're replacing all the ignition components, fixing a lot of maintenance items that have needed attention probably for a while. But we stopped driving this truck when the cladding broke. So we're going to address all that now while we can. So this will be coming on the channel next, along with replacing the fuel sending unit in the Dakota. I actually just got done driving this thing to a little car cruising last night, and it did excellent. And the trailer's done. So if we get the opportunity next time the weather cooperates, we're finally going to the track. I said that 100 times, right? It's never happened. But anyway, this is probably a little short video here, and I want to thank you guys for coming along. I want to thank you guys for maybe some understanding of some family stuff that we've been dealing with, obviously, through the last week, which is rough, but I don't mean to burden you guys with all that, the dark side of all that stuff, or the bad, not the dark side, but the bad side of all that. It just sucks. We miss our puppy really bad. And, well, you know, I'm going to dedicate every video for the rest of the year to her. We love you, Cuda, and we miss you very, very, very much. And, well, like I said, this is kind of an odd video. Most of my videos are 110% positive and, you know, get out there, do your thing, that kind of stuff. So I apologize for the deviation, but that's what we're going to do from now on out. And, well, obviously we got all kinds of stuff to work on. We actually do have suspension parts that finally came in for Gramps. So if we can, tomorrow, we're going to try to take the lower control arms and stuff and get that all cleaned up so that we can start putting that back together. Because, again, I'd like to kind of shift some stuff. I'd like to move some things and where they're at and move them over and stuff like that. So, plus, we get to work on Gramps and finally get that thing running, I'm hoping, this year. So, hang out with us for that. See what we got coming on to Bel Air. See what we got coming on to Sonoma, which is probably not much, but driving it. And, you know, and see what else we get into this year. So, there's still one car you guys don't know about. So, all right, that's it. I'm going to shut it down. Thanks for hanging out as always. You guys are the best. If you are new, obviously, like I said, we got all kinds of stuff to work on. Please consider subscribing and hanging out with us. It's really nice to work on my 68 Nova Supersport. Yes, it is a real Supersport. Yes, it is a Survivor car. It's really, really cool car, and I can't wait to get this thing running again. So come with us. If you're not new to the channel and you've already subscribed, you guys are the best, especially those guys that leave all the comments or hit the like button and all the stuff that YouTube likes that I don't really like to bother you too much, you guys, about, but you guys already do it, so thank you. And, well, we'll see y'all next time. Oh, also, check out RacerXGarage.com for some of our merch. We got t-shirts, a hoodie, and a hat, so check that out. So, all right, I'll see y'all next time. I'm gonna stop blabbering, and y'all have a fantastic weekend. Until next time, you know the deal. Y'all be good. Ready? Stay. Gotta drop it. Drop. Sit. Sit. Good girl.